welcome to another episode of the WRC Safari Rally Kenya 2024. I'm your host, Mukami Wambora, and as you can see, I am joined by a rally driver, Jose Sardinha. He has invited us into his home. This is the garage, this is the baby, and yeah, it's a beautiful car.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've put a lot of effort into it. Yeah, so welcome to our humble little establishment here. So this is where we build and prepare the cars from. Obviously, if there's some outside work, it will go to the contractors, but 99% of the work gets done from here.
Yeah, I think we should go inside and have more conversation and talk a little bit more about what expectations we have for the
Yeah,
WRC.
looking forward to it. Follow me through.
Okay. Yeah. Thank
We
you.
go straight through.
So it must be so much easier being able to actually work at here and also sleep.
Yeah, I think the main thing is still have a full-time day job, so have to come from work, and then it's really convenient just to pop into the workshop and carry on from there.
Okay.
But I've got two full-time guys working on the cars as well, which helps me a lot.
Okay.
Right.
It's a beautiful house.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. As much as this is a beautiful house, there's something I've noticed. You say you have a wife. Not you say, you have a wife.
Yeah.
We've met her, Celeste. But the living room is very rally driven.
Yeah, I'm truly blessed to have, Celeste by my side. She shares my passion. And I think it pulls through to everything that we do. You see the house is rally cars and caps and model cars and PlayStations. And so, yeah, we live it. We don't partake, we live it.
And you mentioned your team, we were walking in. How important is that relationship? Because I noticed you guys were joking around and, it was really fun to see.
Yeah, I think it's really important. My life is in their hands in a lot of ways. They check in the car and put in the car together. So there needs to be a certain level of trust. And we work on a triple check system. So everybody checks each other and there's no malicious intent in that. It's just the way it should be done. And I try and create a little bit of a friendly, fun place to come to work, right? And if you're enjoying your job, then it's not a job. It's, they're having fun and they're doing good work.
Yeah, it's true. And I want to take you back a little bit. How did rallying begin for you? Because we've seen so many trophies around the house as well, and all these collectibles. How did that passion begin for you?
Yeah, I think rally has always been a passion for me. Once I heard those big monsters going through a forest in South Africa, the Audi Quattros, the Nissan Skylines, and you hear that, and I actually get gooseflesh just sitting here thinking about that now. And when you see that and you start watching the WRC when it started coming onto TV, it's just something that clicks in you, and I've just followed it my whole life and desperately wanted to do it, but finances were a little bit tight in those days to do the rallies. So I did a lot of track racing, so a lot of these trophies are track racing trophies. It's a little bit easier on the budget, it's a 1-day event versus a 3-day or 4-day event in a rally. But the first chance I got to get into a rally car, that was it, and I vowed I'd always stay in it.
One moment. What was that like, that moment when you actually got into the car, maybe when you finished the first rally?
Yeah, I think, are we going to do this now? Yes. Am I going to be competitive? I need to keep the car together. I need to listen to the navigator. So there was a lot of things going through your mind on the stage, but once the flag drops and you're off, you're concentrating only on the driving, and that's to get the cleanest lines, try and be as fast as possible, but as also, keep the car in one piece. And then finishing that stage, saying, okay, this is one down, we've done this. Yeah.
Do you ever get used to it, or is every race something different?
No, I think if you're not nervous before every rally, then you shouldn't be competing. And the ongoing chase for refinement to get faster and change things on the cars, that's what keeps you competitive and keeps you going. If you don't have that, for me, then I wouldn't be doing it.
What's the point?
Yeah.
And you mentioned road race driving, and
Yes.
I've been walking around your house. There's a specific picture. where your wheel is literally on top of another car. And for me, I'm like, I have to tell that story.
Yeah, it's one of those stories where if you can't go around them, go over them type thing. Yeah, we were in a race at Swartkops in South Africa, and it was both of us were in different classes, but being competitive, we were trying to pass and chase each other, and it got a little bit tight in some of the corners, and on one corner he managed just to close the door a little bit too much, and there was no more space, so I decided, well, if we can't go around, then we go over.
Is he okay?
He was fine, yeah.
Just his ego a bit bruised.
Yeah, a little bit of fiberglass work there and there, but all good.
Okay. Let's now focus on the WRC
Yeah.
Rally 2024. It's back in Easter. I mean, you were saying how you used to watch it back home. What do you think this means, especially for Kenyans, having it back during that time?
Yeah, so if I look back in history, I mean, it was traditionally over Easter, and that brought the families out. There were people at KICC that just stood there for days waiting for results. So I was speaking to someone yesterday again, this is not a sport, this is a culture in Kenya. And I think the WRC being here is an absolute coup for the country. We've got wonderful stages. And it's a tough rally for both cars, drivers and crew. You really need to know your stuff. And it makes it very difficult to predict the driver because, some guys are fast on tar, some guys are fast on snow. This is a combination of everything and being fast and keeping it together.
Before we get to the next question, I remember I saw Winter Race in one of the trophies and I was like, oh, I have to ask him about that.
Yes. Yeah, so the winter races in South Africa, it's just winter time, so it's called the Winter Trophy. But it gets cold, but it's not snowing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. So Easter also, in terms of weather, now that we were talking about winter, there's a likelihood of it raining. How do you think that affects the drivers, especially knowing that it's been in June and now there could be rain? Yeah,
the rain could play a major factor in the results. Number one is selecting the right tires to get through the rain, through the muddy stages, etc., and then trying not to get stuck as well. These stages, if there's any black cotton, man, it will really dig a car in, and you get stuck to the floorboards, you're going to have a problem.
So the pace notes are important in areas like that?
Yeah, so the pace notes, you're looking for alternative routes where you think there might be any problems in the road, but sticking within the regulations and making sure that you can get through the stage.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the unique challenges that make the Safari Rally, or called the toughest rally?
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at the distances traveled to get to stages is one thing. The other thing is, like I said, one stage could be rocky, the next stage could be fesh, the next stage could be black cotton. And in between that, you have fast sections as well. So I think, really understanding local conditions, and that's why a lot of the teams use very experienced locals like Ian Duncan and all the rest of them to really know what the stages are and give advice to the teams. But the teams, I think, now have got a little bit of idea of what to expect in Kenya.
Do you have a particular stage that you think is more challenging than another?
I think they all got their own challenges. Like I say, if you're going into the thick sand, what line to take, how to get out there, don't overheat the car, don't get stuck. The rocky stages, don't get punches, keep it together. It's very unforgiving on the rocky stages on the sides of the roads. So if you make a mistake there, you can beat your car on a big rock or damage a rim or break a side shaft. So, yeah.
Any favorite stage?
That's Sleeping Warrior is one of those stages that I really like. Lydia is one of the stages I really like. To me, they're all great.
Yeah. And like you've talked about how difficult and how challenging, how it's so unique. How do you personally, when you undertake such rallies, keep that physical and mental focus? What do you do?
I think, your preparation is everything for a rally, right? So rallies are one and lasting preparation. So prep. And that means, the preparation of the car, preparation of your mindset on, how fast you can go based on the terrain. And I think a lot of people make mistakes of trying to push too hard on terrain that's not going to get them anything. So they might be a little bit faster per kilometer in some parts of the stage, but then lose everything on one part of the stage.
They lose some time.
Yeah. So when you get into the car, I mean, when that helmet goes on, that's the focus, you know.
And how important for you is your navigator, Mogul?
Dr. Asad Mughal, better known as Dr. Bones, a very integral part of the team. Again, when I said preparation, that's where Dr. Bones really comes in. Weeks before the rally, he's already starting to think about the notes, where we're going, what's happening, getting everything arranged from his side of the car, which makes it so much easier for me. I can concentrate on the driving, not have to worry about, are the notes done correctly. I mean, on this last Eldoret rally, it was actually quite funny that there were sections that I was just driving, and normally I would call the pace notes out for the book, and he was just making them, and the calls were spot on. So I think once you click like that and you have confidence in your driving, you have confidence in the navigator, it keeps that rhythm that you need through a stage.
And when things are getting heated, how do you guys overcome? Or what's actually the atmosphere within the car? Are you guys chilled? Are you guys...
Yeah, look, getting heated makes it worse. I don't believe in getting heated in the car. I'll rather walk away and go do something else. But in the car, everybody makes mistakes. You're under pressure. I make mistakes as a driver. He might make a call that, would be too late or whatever, but it gains you nothing in the car getting heated. So we have a calm discussion about it, have a joke about it, and rectify it. Yeah.
So does your personal relationship tie into that, or is it usually strictly business? No,
our personal relationship ties into it. You've got to know, it's important for the guy to feel comfortable being in the team. What does he drink? What does he eat? Where we stay, what we do, how we make it as comfortable as possible for the whole team. And Celeste is vital in that aspect. But yeah, we speak nearly every single day. Mostly about the car, but yeah, we chat.
Yeah, and you have each other's lives in your hands.
Absolutely, yeah. Some people say I've got a doctor in the car because I can't drive, so maybe that's why he's in there.
In case anything,
if anything happens, I've got the doctor on board.
CPR is,
it's right there. CPR from Bones.
But it's a smart one. And you've talked about the Eldoret rally. We've seen the numbers sort of dip in terms of how many people signed up. What do you think that's due to?
Yeah, it's a very sad situation where the KNRC finds itself in right now. And, I don't want to typically go and blame individuals or organizations or events. I think cost is a major factor nowadays. If you want to upgrade your car just to meet the safety requirements, 2 seats, 2 belts, 2 Hans devices, 2 new helmets, 2 new overalls, gloves, everything that goes around with that. And I mean, those costs are higher than what the car's value is of some of these guys that have them in the workshops. So it's very difficult to pull those cars out because of those costs. And then we have the problem, like people say, oh, well, why are you going? There's only 8 cars. Well, I want to rally. If there's 150 or 2, I'll be there, right? But the other thing is, if I say, well, I'll wait for the next guy to come, the next guy is saying, I'll wait for the next guy to come.
So there'll be fewer and fewer.
Exactly. So I want to be that guy that gets people to come.
Yeah. And do you feel like the WRC is doing something to sort of help? Do you feel like now that it's back, it might maybe bring in corporates or maybe sort of encourage more people to now start taking?
Yeah, I really hope so. And I mean, the WRC brings a lot of fan base. I think that should be noted by corporates to see how many fans are really there and they're willing to go and sit in traffic for 6-7 hours to go and watch a car come past for 30 seconds and the exposure that you can get from the rally. And so I think we need to treat the sponsors well, give them value for money, really get them involved and back into the sport, and not just here's a check and there's no feedback or follow up or return for them. I think from that perspective, once we get the corporates back, and this is where we need to subsidize drivers, subsidize entry tires, second-hand tires, whatever the case may be, help these guys get back out there.
And it's interesting, the Safari Rally was actually the most watched rally of all the rallies in the calendar last year. So the opportunities are endless.
Huge, yeah. Again, like I said, the Safari, the WRC is completely different to anything else out there. So yeah, it catches the attention. It's not called the toughest rally in the world for nothing. You know?
Onto some fun memories. We've seen so many trophies around the house. For you, what is one of your most favorite memories when it comes to rallying?
I think, it's a combination of two things. One is, to finish a rally. It's like, yes, we kept it together, we're here. And then number two, when you start pushing that competitive edge and you start getting into the top three and you win a stage or you win a rally, that feeling never goes away for me. People say to me, yeah, but you've got this amount of trophies. I chase every single one as if it's a new challenge every single day.
Yeah. And some of your low moments?
Yeah, the low moments again is the opposite of and motorsport is really cool, right? You can be really on a high and really on a low. Silly things on a car that breaks, in a stage that you've prepped so hard for and there's just nothing you can do. It's a mechanical failure or whatever. That's really a low because, you put 2-3 weeks of hard work and preparation into it. And one small thing, and it's always the 2 bob part that breaks. It's not the 20,000 bob, it's the 2 bob parts that break, and you're like, really, this is it?
And you can't fix it until you get
you're done
back. Yeah. And a lot of we're talking about growing the sport and ways that the sport can grow, how corporates can come in. What about the young kids maybe who are going to be now watching the rally now that it's in Easter? What sort of advice would you give them to? Well,
we've got really good stepping stones in this country. So we've got the karting if you're interested in the tar aspect, but the rally aspect, autocross and rallycross is really the way of the future. I mean, you can buy a buggy for a reasonable price, go out there, it's very low maintenance, you can use the same tires the whole year, fill it up with petrol and go, as long as you don't, bang it in any way. But otherwise, that's an excellent way to learn car control, learn what the events are about. So it's basically a mini rally, a short stage, but it teaches the youngsters a lot.
Yeah. And, in terms of the fact that, you started watching the Safari Rally quite early, what do you feel has been the change or the transition from then and now? What are you seeing as some of the key differences?
Yeah, so I think, the WRC or the Safaris of old, the distances have obviously shortened, and it's because of cost, obviously.
They used to drive at night. I find that
5,000 kilometers and, things like that. But yeah, I think the type of car that we've got now, the terrain and cost plays all a role. So I think that's been shortened. I would have liked to see, the longer stages, night stages, etc. But I think we have to be realistic if we want to see the amount of cars that we have coming to event. They've got to manage the costs as well.
And I'm sure the safety aspect of it is also important.
Absolutely. So if you look at how quicker the cars have become just from tires, brakes, shocks, and then obviously these hybrid systems, it's crazy how quick these cars are and how well they handle. But when you go over that limit, you're coming off at very high speed.
Yeah.
So, it's not an 80 kilometer an hour accident. It's going to be, 140 plus accident.
Yeah, so it makes it more, because the cars are faster, they're more technical, and all that plays into a role into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of you personally as Jose, what are some of your goals and your aspirations when it comes to rallying? What do you see for yourself in the future?
So for us right now, I mean, we looked at the calendar the other day and realized we're doing 25 events for the year. So we're trying to do all the rallies, all the autocrosses, all the rallycrosses, and the rally raids, right? So, I think it's a simple thing. Go out there and do the best that you can. We really want to aim at the KNRC two-wheel drive championship this year. Last year we won the special production vehicles category. So if we can tie up the two-wheel drive championship, then I'm hoping that would be the stepping stone to more sponsorship and going up to, Mitsubishis or even R5s in the later stage. Yeah.
And I love how you keep saying we. How important is that teamwork for you to get these things done?
Yeah, I'm nothing without the team, honestly. I mean, if the room's on book and there ain't food and there ain't your kit ready and everybody says, oh, you can do that on your own, but you're trying to focus on the driving. And if you just know the guys have done a good job in the workshop and you know your logistics team is behind you and the navigator's ready, it just takes that focus away from things that shouldn't be on your mind and really concentrate on what you should be doing.
And our crew specifically, we love Celeste because she fed us during the autocross.
Yeah, Mama Celeste is well known in the pits for cold drinks, water, food, looking after everybody.
Yeah, and that's, I'm sure, also important for you in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, we always say to our team, they're an extension of me, right? So they represent me wherever they go. So keep the camp clean, keep the car clean, make sure you speak to people properly, respect the officials. So we really try and do that, and Celeste is pivotal in making sure that all of that is running, and, you know, especially with you guys in the press, you know, make sure you guys are looked after as well. You guys do a lot for us, and we should do something back.
Yeah, she's a smart lady. So let's talk about finally the WRC as we're wrapping up, and you know, we're talking about it's in Easter, we'll expect more people, but for those who it'll be the first Safari Rally, what should the spectators expect?
Well, it's going to be exciting stages, but I think from a spectator point of view, speak to people that have been there and done that. Know when to go and when not to go. It's very disappointing if someone gets stuck in traffic and misses the stages, you know. But make a event out of it. Don't try and make a day out of it. So if you have a little bit of a problem with traffic or something on day one, you've got day 2 and 3, etc. And the stages are pretty close together in general. So yeah, make a day of it, but speak to people. Understand, you know, where these stages are going to be held, where the best spectator points are. And then very importantly as spectators is please respect the marshals, because, you know, these cars are coming through at high speed. So, you know, where there areas are that is taped off, etc., make sure that you stay behind those bunting areas and safety areas.
Yeah, and lastly, in terms of the Kenyans, you know, the first stage was the Eldoret Rally, and then the Safari Rally will see a lot more Kenyans taking part. Who do you see as doing really well? Because we've spoken to Saman Vora, we've spoken, who won Eldoret, we've spoken to Jasmine Chana, the reigning champion, we've spoken to Karan Patel, the reigning Africa Rally champion, and we've talked to Carl Tundo, who is you know, a legend, a veteran in the sport in the country. Yeah. Who do you see making a splash?
Look, all of those drivers are excellent drivers. Saman, I've got huge respect for. He's really driven the S2000 in the rallies, the KNRCs really well. Karan, as we know, he's a monster behind the wheel. Very consistent, very calm. And then, you know, looking at Flash, I mean, you can't discount that guy. His pure pace in the car is fantastic. And I think if he's got a good team behind him, he also stands a really good chance. So, and again, like I say, if he could stay, one rock could change everything. So it's so difficult, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us, Jose. Thank you for bringing us into your space. We've really enjoyed it, and we really enjoyed the conversation. For everyone at home, thank you for tuning in. You've heard it, some good predictions for a lot of these drivers, but as they say, the Safari Rally, anything can happen. We will be back with more episodes, more action, more expectations when it comes to the WRC. Thank you for watching. My name is Mukami Wambora. Until next time, ciao.